For our Grow Showcase, we're going to invite Gunnery Sergeant Caposat. The Marine Corps Toys for Tot was founded in 1947, and I'm not going to say a lot more because I don't know what he's going to say, and I don't want to steal his thunder. Without further ado, let us do welcome. Yes. Oh, and let me move it forward so that we can actually. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Gunnery Sergeant Capos, and I'm with the Marine Corps and I'm with Toys for Tots. A little bit about myself. I joined the Marine Corps in 2011 in November, and very quickly in 2013, I want to say, I was on my way doing a humanitarian aid mission from Okinawa, Japan to the Philippines, after the Philippines had been hit by a typhoon. While there, we passed out food, water, most normal stuff, MREs, things of that nature. And because I was there, and one of my first things ever in the Marine Corps was doing humanitarian aid mission, it definitely colored the lens in which I look through the Marine Corps. It's not just necessarily an institution for our nation's defense, but also something for humanitarian aid. Fast forward a little bit to 2023, when I arrived here in Missouri, and I was not expecting to get this duty station. I was expecting to go to the East Coast or the West Coast, and then imagine my surprise whenever they smack in the middle of the country in Missouri. I was like, where am I going to go here? What major base, what installation Marine Corps lot-wise is here? And yeah, found out right across from the airport, actually, we have a reserve unit. So found out a little bit about that, and then I found out one of our primary missions is Toys for Tots. And here, yet again, almost, I am doing a humanitarian aid mission, and that's the way I like to look at it. So similarly to the Easter baskets, that's almost exactly what we do. There's the Toys for Tots Foundation at a national level, and then there's the Toys for Tots Foundation at like a local kind of community level. Most people understand the mission of Toys for Tots. The mission, generally speaking, is every child a toy. That's a minimum. That's not necessarily the maximum, but that's kind of the minimum right there. What do we do in the local area and how do we facilitate that mission is largely up to the unique coordinator of that area. And for the past 2 years, I've been the coordinator for here. What does that mean functionally speaking? The foundation doesn't necessarily give us a stipend of money. We do all of the local fundraising for our chapter here. The foundation, the only thing that they do give us is, depending on past historical performance of the previous year, how many toys did they actually give us based off of how many toys we gave out. So if we gave out, and we do have a pretty good target of around like 50,000 toys a year, that puts us at one of the largest classifications of campaigns across the nation. So typically we'll get around 7,000 toys from them to start off with. That number usually does not increase, though if there's a large donation from, say, like Walmart or anything like that, they might do a gift-in-kind donation and then supplement us with a little bit more toys. But other than that, most of the gap between that number and 50,000 is largely sourced from the community or purchased through us at like local stores, say, for example, Target, Walmart, wherever we can get kind of like a one-for-one type deal. So that's how we work at the local level. Frankly speaking, we put out hundreds of boxes. As a business owner, that's one of the ways that you can help out, is just by hosting a local collection box. It could be one of the official ones with the nice Toys for Tots Train logo. We can get those, but we actually run out of those very, very quickly. Our website opens up on October 1st, and generally that's when we start to get inquiries for the boxes and things of that nature. But what happens is we give out these boxes extraordinarily fast. And if we give them out, if we get too many, then we ask the business owner, hey, we're not going to tell you no, don't collect toys for us. Just throw some wrapping paper on a box that you found, and I'll send you a poster. You can print off the poster and just slap it on the box, and it'll be fine. I like to think of a with them, kind of what's in it for me as like the business owner is by having a box, a collection site at your business, you potentially may be securing return business from a customer. Somebody comes by, they see the box, they think, oh hey, maybe next time I'll remember to bring that toy. They might come by again. I would say, when do we collect the toys is really a good question. We collect the toys at the end of the first week of December, generally speaking. So this year, I think that falls on the 6th and the 7th, and that's to meet our distribution timeline. So our distribution timeline, we have roughly like a 2-week distribution timeline in the first 2 weeks of December, and then from there we start to wrap up the program. And you might be surprised, why doesn't necessarily the program wrap up a little bit later in the year, closer to Christmas? By and large, it's a little bit too late, mostly because we got to also think about the Marines, and most of the Marines want to get home to their families as well, and not a lot of people at our unit live in Missouri. So there are Marines who end up taking leave and going away. So we try to get as much of the work done from October to about that second week of December. Other ways to help out. Volunteering is a very, very easy thing to do, and ironically, much similarly to asking volunteers to come and fill Easter baskets, it's almost the same thing that we do here. We have a huge need here in the city of St. Louis and in the surrounding counties, and part of how we fill that need is by working with other nonprofits. We talked about it at our table, talked about 501c3s, we talked about, hey, what qualifies as an IRS, a nonprofit in the eyes of the IRS, and that's how we actually do our screening as well. You can really easily pull this information up. I learned that actually like 2 years ago, and you can scroll through and just see, hey, is this individual who's contacting me for toys actually a reputable nonprofit? So that's how we screen all the nonprofits that we work with, because we figure, yes, we could give out toys to the individual families, and in the past we have, but we may have a stronger level of outreach if we can disseminate the toys amongst, say, like churches, other miscellaneous nonprofits, children's hospitals, things of that nature. So we punch out like usually around 250 toys per nonprofit and over 200 nonprofits every year. And that's one thing that the volunteers can help us do, is basically going through, we take all the toys, we'll bring them all into one location, and we ask the volunteers to sort the toys into our different age categories, and then potentially build the order for another nonprofit. It kind of feels weird being the middleman. At the same time, there are definitely days we do have children come in and go around and grab the toys, but at the level of our operation and the size of the amount of toys we're working with, generally speaking, we find it's the most efficient way to get things done, especially in the short amount of time that we have to do it. Let me see. Sorting the toys, and you talked about, it's really funny, you talked about the age category. I know you saw me shaking my head, but it's the absolute truth. When we talk about age categories for toys, everybody thinks of a toy from the age, I swear, from the ages of 3 to 5. You get that the kid who's maybe yay about like mid-thigh high, maybe knee high, and that's the image you think of when you think of a child. But we go all the way up to 13 years old, and typically speaking, the baby toys and the older toys are where we find a gap. Now, that's where I use a lot of the funds that are donated to get those toys. So I will go to wholesalers and potentially purchase wholesale those toys and to fill those gaps. But generally speaking, yeah, it's actually interesting you mentioned it, because it's one thing I see every year. Now, I guess the final thing I could really talk about, I know I'm talking very quickly and I do apologize, but the final thing I can really talk about is like, how does one go about to even engage in this concept? Like I said, October 1st, the website opens up. Our website particularly, if you just Google Bridgeton Toys for Tots, you'll get to it. That inevitably is the best way to either A, get in contact with the coordinator via either email or a phone, or as well, it could be the best way to sign up for something like this. It could be the best way to sign up for This Week with Concern as an event. But if you want to get a box, there's a form on there. If you want to sign up to volunteer, there's a form on there. We may end up turning those forms off depending on the time of year, because we don't leave that stuff on throughout the entire year. But October 1st, I can guarantee 2026 it'll be on. So if you want to get involved, if you want to maybe orchestrate a volunteer event for your business and have some sort of a team building event with us and the Marines and sorting toys and filling orders, or if you wanted to get involved by having and hosting a box, whether or not it was a legitimate Toys for Tots box or it's one that you just locally hosted, we're all about that. And if you're interested in the actual dates and locations of where to drop off the box, I will tell you guys here in a second. This year, we have our distribution warehouse. Every year, our distribution warehouse is donated to us by Schnucks. It has been for the past like 10 years, so I don't know. I think there's a Marine who works up there, and I just don't understand how he ends up doing it, but there's real estate, and there's usually an empty Schnucks somewhere, and we're in an old Eat Well, actually, in Chesterfield. So over by the Lowe's on 220 THF Boulevard, that's where our distribution warehouse is currently. So while you're there, if you want to swing by all means, our hours of operations are around 9 o'clock to about 3 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday, all the holidays kind of notwithstanding. But if you wanted to say collect toys and then just drop them off to us, I would absolutely appreciate it. If you wanted to get in contact and just kind of keep me in the loop, we do as well have, sometimes we have drivers going around to pick up the toys in U-Hauls. There might be a Marine in camouflage utilities driving a U-Haul to pick up the toys. But by and large, we are very swamped in this portion of the season. So anytime somebody can bring the toys to us, we would absolutely appreciate it. Other than that, I think I've hit, for the most part, everything I could think of, and I know I probably talked really quickly, so I'm very open to questions for the next couple of minutes, if you don't mind. Yes, sir?
Do you accept only new toys, or do you accept?
You know, I've been doing this for 2 years. You think I briefed that portion, but yes, that was a very good point. We prefer significantly new and unwrapped toys, just to make sure, again, things are clean, things are nice and new. That's not to say that we will not take used toys.
Okay.
However, we handle used toys a little bit differently. To clarify, we will take the new toys and have that be a part of that 250 that a nonprofit could get, or potentially go to an individual family.
Yeah.
And then we'll take the used toys and make those a kind of, hey, if you want this as well, just on the caveat that, just wash it and or,
Yeah. Okay.
But that is a very good question, yes, sir.
What was your website again?
So if you were to just Google Bridgeton Toys for Tots, I want to say the real URL is like bridgeton.toysfortots at something.com, but it's very easy to find if you just Google Bridgeton Toys for Tots.
Okay.
It gets very deep because there are over 800 chapters across the nation, and there's a tool at the national website in order to find your zip code, but I find if you just Google Bridgeton Toys for Tots, that gets you right where you need to be. Sir, yes, sir, you had a question?
I will put out the same offer that I did on the other charity as far as matching up to $1,000. And also, would Rawlings be a good connection?
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned it. I'm pretty sure they're a national sponsor, so we actually, there are certain really big businesses that are national sponsors. I think they're already a national sponsor, and we get, I think, matching whenever we go there to shop, and they're definitely on my list of places to visit here in the next week or two. So, yeah. With regards, I want to talk on that as far as like money handling and things of that nature. Because we're a Marine Corps unit, we're already being paid by the government. We don't really have like people on staff. It really genuinely is 100% volunteers. So all the Marines that work at the unit, yes, we do have to engage in Toys for Tots. We get in uniform, we go to events and things of that nature, or we'll go out and collect the toys and things like that. We do have civilian volunteers that do other behind the scenes things, but they do it largely through the goodwill of their hearts. And what ends up happening is they go out and say they'll help us pick up the toys, or they'll help me screen the nonprofits. I had somebody who worked for the IRS help me out there, so you learn a thing or two, and that way almost all of our money can go towards the toys. We have very little operating expenses with regards to that, so that's actually kind of nice about our little foundation here. So, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really do sincerely appreciate being here. I'm gonna have to get with everybody. If you wanted to go out and donate, if you wanted to aggregate your donations, there's a very easy and quick link on our website to find as far as like donating money, and all of that money will go to our local foundation. And as well, there's QR codes and there's a whole bunch of stuff on our website specifically. But if you were to go on the national level of the website, you're donating to the national level. If you go to our website, you're donating, strictly speaking, to us in the local area. All that being said, I do have to jet out. I apologize for the the brief come and go. Yes, sir, thank you. But I have to go wrangle a bunch of volunteers actually kind of as we speak.